Good morning. Got some people getting in now. Good morning. If you're here, drop us a quote or drop us a hello or good morning. Let us know you're here. And whether you're watching on Facebook or watching on StreamYard link itself, feel free to type any questions in. But we're here with Mr. Joe Doctor. Joe is with Pillar to Post, the Chad Bora team. He is a home inspector. A lot of you may know Joe. He does some really cool continuing education things that we'll be rolling out kind of later in the year. I know everyone's we're just getting through continuing ed, so it's not on anybody's top of mind, but we're excited to have Joe here. He's going to be talking about market-ready home inspections and why it's important to get your listings pre-inspected. We all know we've run into challenges with inspections. We all know inspections are back. Over the last few years, we're in a market where inspections were getting waived, where we didn't have to negotiate a whole lot. Even if people were doing inspections, they were doing them from informational purposes only. Inspection notices are back. So the fact that they're back, if we can set our sellers up for success, that's the way to do it. So Joe, welcome. The floor is yours. And we appreciate you taking the time to do this morning.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that opportunity, Michael. Thank you very much. And you kind of hit the highlights. This is inspections are back. And not only are they back, you were kind of hitting the nail on the head. It is something that is we realized was an important thing that was kind of overlooked those last few years. So Pillar to Post has really developed what I think is an unbelievable opportunity here for realtors. And I do kind of want to go over that. So really what I want to start off with, guys, real quick is what is a market-ready inspection? It's really a market-ready inspection offers a positive solution-focused approach that emphasizes readiness and results. These qualities will resonate with your clients. Plus, by being the first to promote this concept, your guys are going to stand out as the market leader in helping homes move from listed to sold. This is something that we are currently seeing in our network, okay? Not here in St. Louis at all, but Pillar to Post is nationwide. And so it is something that we're certainly seeing in our market. It's kind of like, where does all the cool fashion in the USA start? Well, I mean, if you're thinking, you're like, man, well, it doesn't start in St. Louis, does it? It's starting in LA, it's starting in New York, it's starting on the coasts. And then would you believe that the market-ready inspections account for nearly half of all home inspections that are currently being done in the state of California? So we are trying to bridge that gap and say, guys, it's coming. We're ready for it. We built this inspection platform for this, and we're going to help make you guys set yourself apart from everybody else that you're competing with here in the St. Louis area. Don't be that last person to wear the cool new fashion. So we have that Versace, and I am not a fashion person at all, or Coach bag, but we're going to try and bring it to St. Louis. So we want to set yourself apart from all the other realtors. How can a seller benefit from a market-ready inspection? You might think to yourself, well, what? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know why. It's always been the other way. Well, real estate's changed a boatload in the last couple of years, and that is why this change is so important. There are going to be less surprises. It's a third-party unbiased opinion to support the home. Okay, this is not a homeowner a buyer has their own inspection, and then you are just saying, oh, I guess the roof is shot because this guy said so. No, your seller owns that right to say, no, I had my roof checked out, and they said it needs a few repairs. So you have that third-party unbiased opinion to support the home. It's adding value to you as the agent. You are the trendsetter. We're making sure that it is putting you guys first and that you're the first ones to do this stuff. You can differentiate your listings. Buyers are offering more confidence and more money. So they are waiving contingencies because these inspections are already performed. So this swing again is the inspections we know are going to start going to that listing side. Kind of like when you purchase a car, you aren't buying the car of your dreams, the car you want, and then going and have it checked out. The dealer's already done that for you. So that's the really easy way to think about this, is saying, guys, it is ready to go from the dealership. We are ready to put this home on the market. Everything is disclosed. Bring me your best offer and your highest amount of money. We include the 360 tour with our premium inspections. That is marketing tools that you guys can use on the market. So the 360 tour you might have seen on Zillow, where you can click through a home, you can look up, down, left, and right. It includes that. So that's something you don't have to go purchase or have somebody else do. We will have the 360 tour included and a floor plan. So every room will be measured. So you'll have a dimension of the room. You'll have wall measurements of each wall in each room as well. That's all going to be available to your sellers when they go live on the market. So all you got to do is just your standard photos. You'll have a 360 tour and a floor plan all set up, ready to rock and roll when they order that premium home inspection. And then the pillar to post home manual. How often is it where you have clients say, how old is this furnace? How old is this air conditioner? What can you tell me about it? Well, the PTP home manual, we take model and serial numbers of those appliances, and it gives us age, it gives us the model numbers, it gives us any issues that may be coming up. If there's a recall, those recalls are, you know about them right then and there, and can potentially get them fixed before you even hit the market. And obviously with recalls, there's no cost. So that is something that the manufacturer has put out there. And then the beautiful thing is it's inspected by the #1 home inspection company in St. Louis by far. It's not like we are Joe's Home Inspection Company. We're Pillar to Post, the Chad Bora team. We inspected over 3,000 homes last year. So it is a name that is known all over the St. Louis area. So when you have buyers coming in, they've heard of us. They know us and know it was inspected by a large reputable company here in town. This is a visual of, a 360 tour. You're able to click through, as you can see the photos in the middle, allowing you to go towards a master hallway or a foyer. In the bottom left, all those little circles in that floor plan is where all the photos were taken within the home. So you can click through the home and look at the ceiling fans if you want, see if there's scratches on the floor, holes in the wall, whatever you need to. But this is certainly something to promote your listing. So ideally, we would have your clients have the home ready to show like they would at any open house or right when it hits the market, so that when we have these photos, it looks really, really, really good for them. And this is an example of our floor plan. So you can see how it will literally show where the windows are, doors are, the configuration of every room. In this particular floor plan, it's showing the room dimensions, but you'll get another mirroring plan that shows the wall measurements. For instance, the distance between two windows, or just you go in a door and there's a 4-foot wall. It'll say, hey, this section of wall is only 4 feet. This helps those out-of-state buyers that are buying as is, and they can say, oh, I can see where my furniture might fit in this home, or I get a better understanding of the flow of the home, not just by looking at photos, but they get that aerial view of the floor plan of the home. So we think this will help attract more out-of-town buyers because they can really see the house quite a bit better. And then attracting the highest offers, that's always the goal. I mean, it's the goal for you guys. So we kind of built this around that. You got stronger buyer confidence with less contingencies. That's what we're seeing. That is what all of the data is showing us, from our peers, our other Pillar to Post franchises on the coasts. They're finding that they are waiving the inspections because they're already done ahead of time, and buyers are coming to the table stronger. It gives the seller most negotiating power. There's nothing being dropped on them and saying, guys, we have 10 days to figure this out. No, you already know about it. We're going to the table saying we're aware of all these things. You can have already addressed them, or just be more prepared to answer those questions than just feeling so vulnerable, like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? They're going to walk away. We just put an offer on our house because we got this one under contract. It gives that buyer or seller the confidence, and they have the most negotiating power they've ever had. It is a chance for the sellers to have time to get bids and not be rushed. It's easier, more comfortable experience. It reduces complexities and stress, and sellers have their own opinion, not someone who is representing the buyer. They have our opinion of the home, and then if there's anything that raises a concern to us or them, they can go and call that professional and say, all right, I'm feeling quite a bit better about this because now I have the knowledge and had the time to do that on my own. With the market-ready home inspections, 80% of all real estate deals are conditional on a home inspection nationwide. Be proactive and stand out from the competition by performing a market-ready inspection for your seller. The one thing I really like to show you guys there in the middle right, for every $1,000 of perceived defect, the buyer asks for an average of $3,000 to $5,000 reduction off the asking price. So when you say, oh, this air conditioner is, needs some repair, the buyer immediately goes to, I need a new air conditioner. And so that could be a $5,000 air conditioner, and it might need a $400 repair. So just that perceived defect is the biggest thing. And that is true. That is true today. We see it every day with the clients. They go, when I tell them there's something going on with the house, their answer is how much? How much? All they're thinking about is how much is it going to cost me? So as the listing agent, you now become the most knowledgeable person about that product or home. So there are going to be no surprises. Any questions you guys got for me that I can help answer? I think this is a huge, huge shift to our market. It's absolutely coming. You don't see it here, but we have just brought it into town, and we anticipate the next 5 years or so, you will really start seeing that trend in the St. Louis area as that market shifts to market-ready homes. Anything you want to add there, Michael?
Yeah, I do. I like the fact that this slide right here showing that for every $1,000 of perceived defect, the buyer, thinks it's $3 to $5 grand. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
Like so many people. Yeah, it is. So I think the fact that you're doing these and getting sellers ready to know what they're up against, rather than just having, like you mentioned, a 10-day window to now go figure everything out. And then maybe they offer a credit, the seller offers a credit, and the buyer, to your point, thinks it's going to be 3 to 5 times more expensive than it really is. It's really hard to keep these deals together.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's cool. No, so I just wanted to chime in there on that. I think that's great.
Yeah, that is awesome. And the higher the more you can get for the home, then the more money goes in the agent's pocket at the same time. So it's just one of those things where you are in the driver's seat the entire way.
We got a question coming in. Let's look here. I'm gonna pull it up here. What all does your inspections cover? Sewer lines, wells? Question mark.
Yep. So our company, which is awesome, when Chad started the business 4 years ago, we were just home inspectors. That's what we did. But now in-house, we offer termite inspections, sewer lateral inspections, radon inspections, gas and mechanical inspections, mold inspections. The only things that we sub out are going to be a chimney inspection, pool inspection, or a septic and well inspection. So we do offer it. We don't do it, but it's one call to our office and we schedule. If they wanted all of those things, it's just still one call to us and we get them all there and can handle all of it. So there's just that one call. And we recommend the sellers, honestly, outside of the building inspection, we would recommend they do the sewer lateral inspection, the radon inspection, to get it all out there. Yeah, they're going to spend maybe $1,000, maybe $2,000. I don't know, but it is a really good investment for that seller to say, hey, there's going to be no surprises. I know what's coming. And the beautiful thing is we are able to move that cost to them to the closing table. So they don't have to front that money. It can just come out of the proceeds of the home. Any other questions there?
Michael, you're muted.
Yeah, thank you, Leo. Okay, yes. So I keep muting myself. I just need to leave myself unmuted. So we have a question that came in. Would you do a pre-mini inspection for just main items like roof, HVAC, water heater, and electrical panel?
So the answer is no, and there's a reason behind that. When we are going out to inspect a home, it's our job to give you the condition of that home in its entirety. We don't have an a la carte. You choose what we can inspect. It is just a liability nightmare for us. So when we do a home inspection, we want to do the whole thing. It makes the most sense because if we're only doing, let's just say 5 items that the seller wants checked out, well, there's still hundreds of items that haven't been checked out within that home. So with us, we don't want those surprises down the road. It's our job to give that objective opinion of the property as a whole. So we don't take out certain parts of the inspection. We want to do the whole thing. So yeah, we cannot take that out.
Makes sense. So what else, Joe, from a pre-inspection perspective, like what else are you looking at? You're doing the full-blown home inspection.
Yep.
And is there, I like that kind of what's called the floor plan layout too. That's cool. We did have another question that came in too. What is the cost of your premium plan?
So the premium, it's a scaling plan. $100,000 home is going to be less than $1 million home. And that's because obviously the size of the property is different. Our risk and liability is different. Our inspections on a premium start at around $500 and kind of go up from there, depending upon the property. The better, when I said $1,000 or $2,000, that's probably in that range. Depending if they want to go premium home inspection, building, termite, sewer, the whole shebang, you're probably going to be in that ballpark, in that range. So it's a good way to kind of prep your sellers to say, hey, and honestly, our average is probably closer to $1,200 to $1,300 if they do all that. But just to give them that range of saying, depending upon the home, you could be closer to 1,000, could be closer to 2, but it's typically going to be right there in that range.
And then, Joe, are you seeing, like, this would probably be a better question for agents that use this, but are you seeing them upload these reports once their sellers are doing them? Are they uploading them as a supplement in the MLS for realtors and such to look at? Yeah.
Yes.
Offers. Okay.
We did kind of do a little bit of piloting over the last few months because we hadn't gone to market with it. We did have a specific home that a realtor said, you try it on as a guinea pig. But yes, they put the floor plan in the MLS, the 360 tour in the MLS as well. So that was all uploaded. But it's really cool though, Michael, is we have a little 8.5 by 11 sheet that you can put in a stand in the home, and it'll have 3 QR codes on it. So say you're doing an open house, or you just have it open for showings. The showing agents can go in, and if the client likes the home, well, they can hit a QR code, and they have our entire inspection report with home highlights. So the home highlights can be, okay, you guys are listing a home. Say, Michael, you're listing a home, and like, Joe, the roof's brand new, AC's brand new. They just put all new appliances in the kitchen. Great. We want to know that. Because for your seller, you want to have a highlights page, not just an inspection, doom and gloom, where we're not reporting doom and gloom. We're reporting objectively on the condition of the home. But we do have a section where we can say, hey, there's all new floors in this house. Whatever you want to put in there, as long as we can agree to it, because they may say I have a brand new roof and it's great. And I've inspected a 6-month-old roof that was shot, so it's just one of those things. But we have that there for them, and they can do QR codes and get the 360 tour and that floor plan all right there. So if the clients like the home, boom, they have it. But by these 3 QR codes, they're sitting in the kitchen on the counter next to your stuff.
That's cool. Yeah, I think that's really cool. And then question that came in from Facebook. I have been suggesting this is Lisa Rozier. I've been suggesting pre-inspections for many years. One of the seller concerns are if the home is found to have some very costly repairs needed, they will have to disclose anything they don't fix. Suggestions on how to get around that concern.
Yep. My suggestion is they're going to find out anyway. So statistically speaking, in that slide right here, 80% of all real estate transitions are conditional on the home inspection. You're going to find out anyway. Wouldn't you rather find out when you have some control and time on your side? Because if you wait until that 10-day window, you are put in a pickle. So when I hear that is the common concern, but what you'll find out, it's the realtor's most often concern. It's not really that seller. The seller's not the one going like, well, I'll have to disclose it. Well, they're saying that because that's what we're teaching them in the market is, well, whatever you have to disclose, which is true. But if I'm on the other side of the table, I'm going, I'd rather know now. You go to the doctor, you want your results now. You don't want to wait until you have to make a decision. You'd rather be like, oh, I need some time to process this and understand what's coming. So we 100% understand what you're saying, but I think it's better to have time on your side. Get it done and be aware of it because you're going to find out about it eventually.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It's going to come up regardless, especially.
It's going to come up. Yeah, let's get ahead of it.
Yeah, agreed. I like that.
And here's the other thing, Michael, because say there is a crack in a sewer lateral, right? But say it's at 1 o'clock. And if you're looking at the lateral, it's at 1 o'clock. It's at the top, and it's just a minor crack. You can look at that and be like, I'm disclosing it, but it's at the top of the lateral. I'm not doing anything. You guys can be prepared for that, have all that information available.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too.
Yep.
Here's another one from Toyka. Buyers are always concerned when they cannot inspect an AC system in cold temps.
Yep.
Is there an inspection that can be done to assure buyers that their system is functioning as intended?
Hi, Toyka. You know the answer to this. I appreciate you. And the answer is yes. On our gas and mechanical inspections, our gas and mechanical inspectors can do what's called a bump test on those ACs year round. If it's 0 degrees out, not a problem. The only limitation is what's called our temperature drop. And that's when we have to run the air conditioner for at least 5 to 7 minutes and take a temperature of the return air, which is the ambient air in the home, and then a temperature of how well it's cooling. In the wintertime, we can cause damage to those appliances, so we can't do that test. But with our gas and mechanical inspections, our guys are able to do what's called a bump test. Make sure that motor and fan kick on. They can check the pressure in those lines and the freon levels, so they can tell us within 99% certainty if that air conditioner is fully functional.
That's really good to know, because I feel like a lot of inspectors just say, oh, we can't test it.
That's it. They say, I'm out. We can't do it. But it is our gas and mechanical inspections that do it, because as a home inspector, our job is to do what's called that temperature drop. So in theory, I cannot do the test that the home inspector typically does, because that's all we do is, does it turn on? Does it cool? Yes or no, and within the right parameters. But with our gas and mechanical inspectors, they're actually checking capacitors. They're actually hooking up gauges to the air conditioner. They are doing an in-depth, like you would if an HVAC company came to your home and just did your normal spring and fall clean and check. That's the check we're doing. We're not doing the cleaning, but we're doing that check.
Makes sense. And then Bob Severns asked, do you supply estimate of repairs?
Bob, great question. So Pillar to Post has worked very hard in trying to accommodate all of those things, including the estimates. The answer is yes. We do have a what I would consider a tool that can provide ballparks of those repairs. And the reason I'm emphasizing that is we've gone to market with this a year or two ago, and I did a lot of the research and data, and the estimates and the actual repair costs, in my opinion, they're kind of all over the board, because there's just no way you can just generate this and know. One, it's what is the demand for a plumber in the St. Louis area? If they're in high demand, their prices go up. It doesn't account for those kinds of things. So, but we do have a tool that is in your dashboard. So when you get an inspection from us, you can go into that inspection and it can give them a ballpark idea of, say, a roof or a furnace or AC, something along those lines. The answer is yes. I just saying you can't put a bunch of stock in that. I would say it could be off 20 or 25% up or down.
Good to know. Then Mike had a question. Are inspections performed on a property prior to going to the market? Are they paid at closing or are they paid upfront?
Yep. So in this situation, we are recommending it going prior to going on the market, and it can be paid at closing. So this is the shift that we've seen that is happening. And so we just want to get the St. Louis market ahead of the curve and say, guys, don't be the last one to play. When you are competing against another agent and they're saying, let's go on the market, but you're saying, I want you to go on the market, but I want this stuff done. You guys are setting yourselves apart and saying, this is how we bring more money to the table. And it can be postponed to closing for actual payment.
Cool. Good to know. Very good to know. For our agents at the Lake of the Ozarks, Joe, do you guys have partners there, referral partners there that they can utilize?
Yes, the Lake of the Ozarks, there isn't a Pillar to Post franchise at the lake right now. But we do have some in the surrounding areas that can. Our team doesn't typically go to Lake of the Ozarks, but it's a great question because we do have referral partners all over the state, giving, that their reports look very similar to ours. They offer, the same stuff that we're offering. They're all independently owned and operated, but we do have, again, the lake's a tough one for us, but pretty much all over the state, we can typically find somebody, typically.
Cool. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Looking for other questions coming in as well. Some good questions here. Are you seeing, so what percentage are you seeing an uptick in this now of people utilizing the service?
So Michael, this is brand new. I mean, we are, I don't even want to say we've launched it, but you are my second presentation about this here in town. So you aren't seeing it at all. But what is crazy is I bet in the last 2 weeks, we've probably done 100 inspections in the last 2 weeks, but I would say 5 or 6% of them now have been doing this. And these are the people we've already talked to. And I think that 5 or 6% come this summer is going to be 10 or 15%. And like I said, I anticipate in a few years, it's going to be more than 50, but we've already seen the agents go, oh, this makes a bunch of sense. I get it. We've been talking about it for years, but I think we've just kind of solved the Rubik's Cube in a way and said, no, Pillar to Post, though, has spent tons of money researching this, and it's where it's going. So, yeah, it is. We are seeing an uptick already, and we're just getting this out in the market.
Cool. Good to know. Lisa Rozier had a question. What happens if the seller has the inspection and decides not to sell as far as payment due?
Then they would have to sign what's called a credit card collateral form. So if they elect to pay at closing, they have a form they sign. It says, hey, in the event I don't close or don't go to market, you can run my credit card. So we would have all that taken care of. But to protect ourselves, that's what we would do.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Anything else to add in here, Joe, while we're still waiting for some more questions to roll in?
No, I mean, not really to add. It's I think we kind of covered. Anything, Nikki, that you want me to talk about here?
Let me pop up. I can pop mine.
There's Nikki.
Yeah. Nikki, I was going to say, if you want to comment, Nikki, with all of Joe's information and links, if you could drop that in the comments, and then we can push that over to Facebook as well, that would be great.
I'm going to stop my screen share. How's that?
Yeah, that works.
Cool.
What are kind of the most common things you see maybe that agents, because I always think it's a good idea as agents that when we are going through a listing, we're not inspectors, obviously,
right,
but there are things we can look at and give sellers kind of a little bit of a heads up. Like I know if you're going through an old city property and you see knob and tube, we know that's exposed knob and tube. That's probably going to be an issue that's going to come up in inspection. Or we see a cast iron stack with tons of those rust barnacles on it. We see a stone foundation with you can tell there's obvious water penetration, things like that. So what are things that you see most common that maybe an agent, as they're walking through, could kind of give people a heads up on?
I mean, the one thing we've been preaching for years is go look at the electrical panel for one. Is it a Federal Pacific stab lock? Because if it is, it's going to be called out and probably need to be replaced. And let's be honest, it's $2,500 now. It used to be $600-$700 10 years ago. It goes up. So the Zinsco Sylvania panel and the Federal Pacific stab lock, the easiest one, just to go down to the basement. And if you aren't sure what you have, just open the door up, take a picture, text it to me, and I'll let you know. So it is that, but that is one of the easiest things a realtor can do to say, hey, I know what I'm looking for here, and we want to get above this or get ahead of this. The stack, that's a hairy one, Michael, because we can see those barnacles. But if depending upon the size and location of the barnacle, there's differing opinions we could have, because you can have a barnacle and no leaks, and that would be okay. It is deterioration, but it is performing as intended. So it's just kind of one of those things where the buyer, when they're inspecting the home, they're going to be like, oh, we need a new stack because these barnacles. But I'm in there in the front end going, no, there's barnacles. Yes, it's cast iron. Yes, it's a 90-year-old home, but it's performing as intended. So it's one of those points that having that pre-listing inspection, you kind of have that in your back pocket saying, no, we had another professional look at it and his verbiage sounds pretty good and is protecting that seller. So I would be careful commenting on the stacks other than letting them know it's there and it could come up on an inspection report. You're spot on with the stone. I mean, we assume it's going to leak or has leaked or is leaking. So when we inspect those homes, we just kind of prepare the buyers. Hey guys, this is a porous surface. It's we expect it to leak. Yeah. So I would say from the listing side, the biggest thing is clean the house. Like like the windows, like when there's a 1/4 inch of dust on the tops of the window sashes, like if you just can just spend one day and cleaning it for sale, it is night and day difference with we can go through a filthy home and know the home wasn't meticulously maintained and cared for. But if they had spent $300 or someone cleaned that house top to bottom, we wouldn't know that. It's almost kind of like a light goes off in our head. Like, man, they haven't mopped this room for 6 months or a year. You'd be shocked if I just did one thing. And it's those homes that you guys know aren't that clean. Get them clean. It'd be huge.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, if they're not going to take time to vacuum the carpet, they're probably not going to change their furnace filter.
No, changing the filter is another good one.
Yeah.
If we open it up and it's caked, we know they're not maintaining the furnace.
Yeah.
So even if you guys want to have a stack of filters in your cars and it's just part of your process is put a $7 filter in, go ahead, because it's better to see a clean furnace filter in there than one that's just caked full of debris.
That's one thing I would always tell my sellers. I would recommend change the filter out and then clean the top of the water heater too. Like a lot of those water heaters, they collect a lot of dirt and dust, and it just makes it look ugly. And like simple things like that can at least they'll say, well, the furnace is 15 years old. It looks like it's maintained. It's got a clean filter. It can help.
It's a great idea, and I couldn't agree with you more from the personal aspect of wiping down the top of your furnace and water. I do it in my own home, but it's only because I take pride in my home. But it does look 10 times better when you don't see tons of dust and little debris and rocks and stuff maybe sitting on there from plaster or whatever it is above there. But it could definitely helps. It's the cleanliness of the home and making sure there's clear access to furnaces, water heaters, electrical panels. That would be another big thing, because you would want to be able to, people want to go and look at it. Even though a buyer doesn't know what they're looking at, they want to walk up to that furnace. They want to open up the electrical panel door. Again, they don't know what they're looking at, but they want that. They want to be able to do that just because.
Yeah.
I sold real estate for 10 years. So it's like, I remember all this stuff. I sold 400 homes. It's like, it was just so funny when Uncle Bob would come and bang on doors or windows and walls and like, what are you doing? What are you knocking on the wall looking for a stud? Like, if they're knocking on walls, they don't know what they're doing.
Diana asked, what about Challenger electrical panels?
Well, what about Challenger electrical panels? They had a recall, relatively recently. And that is, an electrician would have to evaluate to tell you if it fell within the time frame of the recall. There's no date or anything on those boxes that we can tell you that. But if it looks like it could fall within that category, we would have to divert to a electrician to tell you. Square D also has a recall from 2019 to 2021 on install. So they were very new panels, but only 700,000 of those, I believe, went out in North America. Again, it's just one of those things where we have to go to the electrician and say, hey, is this in the recall or not? We don't know definitively.
Can you run through quickly too, like for people that maybe don't know, like the Federal Pacific, what is it? Zinsco, is that one too?
Yes, Zinsco, Sylvania. Zinsco and Sylvania merged, so that company was Zinsco and Sylvania. They merged to Zinsco, Sylvania, or just Sylvania, or just Zinsco. It could be any of those. What was the question?
Well, run through the ones that are issues. Like you see it, you know that the seller's probably going to have to replace it.
Yep.
And why?
Yep. So the Federal Pacific stab lock panel was an issue with the breakers not tripping. So when, say you have a 20 amp breaker and you were running, you were testing that breaker and you shot 21 amps into it, when it is in the lab, it wouldn't trip. And at 20, once it gets over 20 amps, that thing's supposed to trip. In the event it did trip, they would reset it, shoot another 21 amps or more over to it, and it wouldn't trip 2/3 of the time after that. So the biggest concern with Federal Pacific is the breakers don't trip when they're supposed to trip. That is a safety thing. Though they are supposed to stop when it says, man, there's too much juice going through here. I could be doing one of two things. I could be overheating, could cause a fire in the panel. I could be damaging whatever it is you're running because I'm allowing way too much power to move through. That's why breakers have sizes. is our appliances and the electrical in our home are only designed to take so much power. If you give it too much, you can damage it. So that's a no-brainer. There's not an electrician in town that'll tell you should just hang on to that. You're fine. Those need to be replaced. The Zinsco or Sylvania panels, those have like a pastel colored breakers. They're kind of easy to see, real common in the late 60s to early 80s. They had an issue where the breaker there, when you have electrical coming into the home, there's essentially two wires that power up bars, and the breakers plug into those two bars. And the problem was where the breaker plugged into those bars, there was a galvanic reaction. There was a reaction and corrosion would occur, which would cause a bad connection. So when you have a metal to metal connection, you want clean metal to metal. But once it starts blistering or corroding around there, you could get that corrosion between the metal, which can cause sparking and arcing, which is, again, another potential fire hazard. The difference with the Zinsco Sylvania panel is you could have an electrician pop all those breakers out and say there is no corrosion in here, put them all back in and say, I've checked it out, it's performing fine. So the Zinsco Sylvania is one where it could be performing completely fine, but we have to let the electricians tell us that. All we can see is that we take the cover off and we just can't see in between all those connections, and we're not allowed to unplug. Well, it's a live panel. We don't want to unplug those breakers. That's dangerous. But an electrician could evaluate that and say it's okay. The thing is now the electricians they know that it's a known issue, and they recommend replacement for the most part, but you could probably find one that would say it's performing.
Good to know. And then Lisa Roger had a question. She said, I missed the part, but is the pre-inspection cost about the same as the regular inspection?
Yep. Same cost, same pricing.
Yeah.
No different.
It'll be interesting, Joe, as this rolls out and becomes more popular to see how many buyers then opt not to do an inspection because the report's already provided.
We asked that to our partners on the coasts, and they said that when they're doing those premium inspections with the infrared, the 360, and then they were saying, I don't know the number exactly, it was closer to around 60%. They were realizing the buyers were comfortable moving forward without doing anything because they had all the information. Don't get me wrong, guys. We don't want you to do this information. We don't want you to do this 4 months before you go on the market. But when you're going on, you're taking that listing agreement, get us out there week 2, 3 beforehand. So you got some time, to do this. But their records have stated that they're not doing inspections, or they're calling the home inspection, they're calling them back and saying, hey, will you do a walkthrough, a re-inspection with the buyer at the buyer's expense? So they may say, okay, Joe went out and did the home inspection, and we wrote on the house, we got it. I don't want no contingency. I just want to be able to walk through with the inspector that inspected the home, and he can explain to me. That way the listing agent and seller know, hey, this is the guy that inspected my home coming in here, not somebody else coming in here going, oh, let's go find other problems. Let's go see what we can do. No, it's us coming back in. And with us being the biggest in town, everyone knows who we are. So it's kind of nice. Yeah.
And I think I like this a lot because I've thought about this actually for a lot of years, because I know we've all had that inspection notice that the buyer agent sent over to us. And in the inspection notice, it says, see addendum.
Yeah.
And then the addendum's 12 pages long with things that they want fixed.
Yeah. Right.
And it's and to your point, we have 10 days then to figure that out. It's overwhelming. We know inspections typically are one of the more challenging parts of our role because we're dealing with a lot of different things that are out of our scope or general knowledge. And so I like the idea that if you can get your seller to do this ahead of time, one, also the option to pay at closing. I mean, it comes out of their proceeds. What a fantastic option. That's really no upfront cost to the seller, but it's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of headache. And to your point, Joe, that you mentioned, I like hearing that too, that on the coast, you're seeing people that are opting now not to do inspections because it's already been done.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, it's really streamlining the process and making things, it's just being ahead of things. It's being proactive rather than being reactive.
100%. And it's reducing the risk of that seller, because let's say they did nothing and still got an as-is offer. Well, they've seen the lawsuits that are popping up all over the country because the buyers are suing sellers saying, you knew about this and you didn't tell me, you didn't disclose X, Y, or Z. the lawsuits are going crazy right now. So this provides seller kind of security because, if the buyer comes back and says, oh, you didn't tell me about XYZ. Well, it's like, hey guys, I had a third party professional come in and give an objective opinion of the home. So I was not hiding anything. We paid for this to say, hey, I'm just a homeowner. I don't know if I have aluminum wiring or copper wiring, and most people don't. If you went to all your agents today and said, who has aluminum wiring in their home, I'd be curious as to how many said they do, because I'm telling you right now, every one of you do.
Really? Why is that? I didn't know that.
Because all of our mains coming into the home are aluminum, and typically any of our larger 220 receptacles in the home are aluminum.
Interesting.
So it's putting things into perspective. It's just noting all those things.
Yeah, that's
security for them.
Well, and while you just brought that up, Joe, I want to make a point. On our Growth Summit, April 2nd, Joe's going to be taking a segment of time there where he's going to talk about taking big issues and how to make them seem smaller.
It's called making molehills out of mountain. What is it? Making molehills out of mountains. Because a lot of the mountains that we as real estate professionals assume as a mountain, they're not. And so I kind of went over and took like the top 5 things that buyers typically freak out about and talk in detail about them and just say, guys, this is not that big of an issue, So I look forward. That's a fun class to teach, and it's good because we want that back and forth. We want people to be able to ask a lot of questions, and we can literally talk about it, and we can talk about real world experiences with it. But real estate is a team sport. It is not a me sport at all. And we're part of your team, guys. When you get Pillar to Post and you get our team, you get my cell phone number, so you can use me as a teammate if you're showing a home and want to text me something. What is this? How, what am I looking at? We're thinking about writing an offer. Do you guys have availability on Thursday? Whatever it is, you get that, and so you have that in your back pocket.
Yeah, I think that's one of the great advantages to an inspector like Joe, being able to just text him. Like you're doing a walkthrough of a house, you see something, you don't know what it is. Your client says, what is that? Take a picture, send it to Joe, he'll get back to you, let you know what it is. So it's simple, like not simple, but little things like that that make a big difference and a big impact to have an inspector that's on your team that, you're showing the property to a buyer. We run into things, we don't know what they are.
That's certainly right.
Yeah.
You should look good in front of your clients. You got an answer right away, and not just an answer from an ASHI certified home inspector. Yeah. My phone, unfortunately, is with me all the time. And I typically respond pretty quick or answer. If you don't have my number in your phone or I don't have yours, just make sure you tell me who it is. If you're like, I have never texted Joe before, just say, I'm so-and-so, with the net group, then that's great. Then I know, okay, it's a realtor calling, and I will save you. And then from there on, I'm going to answer the phone. Hey, what's up, Michael? I don't, at that point, I'm not like, hello, how can I help? No, I'm going to call you by your name. So if Toika calls me, I'm like, hey, Toika, how you doing? I call her Toik. Sorry, Toika. But, when she calls, it's okay. I mean, there is no, how can I help you? You're my friend, man. I'm here to help you out.
Yeah. That's cool. And then we did have a question. How much do you charge for a re-inspection?
Re-inspections. Do you remember that? Nikki's looking it up.
Okay.
I'm so bad at remembering all the pricing. I want to say it's $250 or $289, but I'm not. We'll find out in a second.
Re-inspection is $209?
$209 for re-inspection. That is a re-inspection, not a walk and talk, though. A re-inspection is if we come back to the property and they're like, hey, I want you to check these 5 things. Like, let's just say someone said, I want you just to look at the electrical panel or HVAC, make sure something was fixed right. That's our re-inspection. So it would be the walk and talk to look at everything and walk them through. I want to say that's $359.
And then thank you for that. Another question from Toika, maybe more of a question for Michael, but when would you share the market ready inspection with a buyer? Would you make it an attachment to the listing or wait until an accepted offer? I think, Toika, we'll have to look from a compliance perspective, but I think what I would like to do is to have that available even prior to offers coming in.
Yep.
That way they can review it, buyers can look at it. Maybe they feel more confident now with making a higher offer because they've seen the inspection and they see that HVAC's in good shape, roof's in good shape, so on and so forth. So I'm leaning toward, I don't think there's any liability with making that a supplement in the MLS. I'll just verify that, but I don't think there is. And you may know the answer to that, Joe.
Yeah, it's our understanding it's no issue. We've actually had agents already put it all out there. I mean, there's nothing that says you can't have an unbiased third-party opinion and put it in the MLS. It's an attachment. So it's no different than a seller's disclosure. So 100%, we have had agents do that and put all of it in there. I agree with you, Michael. The whole intention is to have it there because if they like the house but don't love the house, but then they look at the report, be like, man, this home's in great shape, well, they may be more apt to purchase it because now not only do they just fall in love with the home, but they now have an unbiased third-party opinion of it. So when they think they might be doing the wrong thing, I'm not the seller's friend and family. I'm just a home inspector, and I'm putting my opinion on paper for them.
I like it. And then Sherry says, I've got one right now. I'm assuming that's a question, so we don't have to have an inspection with you to already call you.
To
call you with a question.
No.
So you can call them anytime.
You can call me anytime. Obviously, the intention is that you're like, I like how this works. We're going to call Joe and his team and have them come out there. But yes, if you have a question now and for something that we have no part of, and that's typically those questions I get. It could be someone showing a property and they're like, what am I looking at? Do you have a concern with this? Can you help me understand what that is? Yeah. We're typically not involved in that transaction at all. It's just the agent wanting to give their clients more information.
Perfect. And then Diana asks, can a buyer pay the reinspection price if the seller paid for a pre-market inspection?
Yeah, it would be a walk and talk. We would call that a walk and talk inspection, meaning there's no report generated. We're going to walk around with them and we can go over everything. And that buyer can pay for that. Yes.
Very cool. Sherry asked, what's your number?
Yeah, you got a pen and paper. Let me give you the office number first. And that's to call for any inspections in general, like, inspection related bookings, things like that. That number is 314-645-7871. So for all of our availability or inspection related functionality questions, that's our office. But my number is area code 314-265-0718. That's my personal cell number. Nikki just posted it on the chat there.
Perfect.
And if you guys text me now, you can. And if you want to shoot me a text and just give me your name, I'll save it to my phone now. If anybody wants to just shoot me a text to say Bobby Brown with Net Group, whatever, that's fine. I'll put it in my phone.
Network Global.
Yeah.
New.
Thank you, Lori.
No more team. Lori said, she said, I can verify Joe answers quickly with questions at showings, even homes, and that are not under contract. He's the best.
Thank you, Lori.
That's awesome. And then did another question, Joe. Once you're notified of somebody wanting to do a market ready inspection, how many days typically how many days does it take to get that, once we order it, to get the inspector out to the house?
Yeah. So if it's the slower, let's just say October through February, 2 days, maybe sooner, 2 or 3. Busiest time of the year, it might be 5 to 7. But that's the beautiful thing about pre-listing is you're not really under the gun. So you could say, hey, I'm listing this home today. We don't want to go to market for 30 days and I want you out here in 2 weeks. Cool. You can kind of pick your day as long as you've got some time on your side. But if you're listing it and going live right away, we do our best. I mean, it's not uncommon for us to get one in the next day. On rare occasions, we've gotten them in day of, but that usually has to be an afternoon inspection, so we have time. But pretty quick. I mean, when everyone's busy, meaning all the home inspectors in town are busy, we are too. But the beautiful thing was us is we have 11 home inspectors, so you're not, and we all do it the same way. Nobody's competing for any business. I can go start an inspection and have Phil Howard come in and finish it for me. No one's like, hey, call me because I get paid by this. No, all of our guys are salaried employees. Nobody's competing for your business. And the benefit to you is you have a team of inspectors that work for you. It's not a inspector and then here's my number 2. It's like, oh no, these guys have 11 I love. And if you're worried about matchmaking, saying I have certain certain clients that this guy is an engineer or this guy just likes to go fishing all weekend, you can call me or Nikki and we can give you, we can say, hey, Nick would be the great guy for them. He'd match up perfectly, or Kurt would match up perfectly. So we play matchmaker for you guys as well, because we all inspect it the same way. We don't have our way to do it. It is the way Rick Caby, who is our director of operations, and he's been training the guys for a decade. He trains them all the same way. So only thing difference is the personalities.
Very cool. Well, good. Looks like we might be. Anybody else have questions? Drop them in. Anything to add, Joe, before we wrap here?
No, other than if you hadn't given us a shot, guys, please do. Come see why, we are the #1 inspection company in the St. Louis area by a landslide. We're just different. We encourage the clients to walk with us when they're there at the home. So when it's a listing side of it, they don't typically walk with us because they're like, I've lived here 10 years. I don't need to know. But if representing the buyer side, we encourage them to walk with us, talk with us. We bring bottled waters and snacks to the inspection. Sounds kind of crazy, but you'd be shocked at how many people are digging into our waters and snacks on the kitchen counter after 2 hours in the home. So we have those just kind of nice little things there. Tape measures are there for them. We bring color swatches if they want to look at paint colors in the home, because it's the most time they do get to spend in that home before they own it. And if the homes are vacant, we have a couple of chairs we'll bring in as well. So I've had realtors say, well, I tell my clients not to come when it's vacant. There's nowhere to sit. I'm like, tell your clients to come. I will bring chairs. This is their time with us. So this is why we're different. We aren't going there just to inspect a home as, well, I have to do this. We are there to comfort your buyers when we're representing the buy side. We want to make sure they understand everything. It is not just go check boxes for us and get out of there, which is what we find we are up against. So it is more of a luxury experience, if you will.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you take the time. That is true. Like if you haven't used Joe and his team, they do take the time to really explain to the client, because I think that's a big thing too. With a lot of clients, they hear things about the inspection, they get terrified. Mm-hmm. This team does an excellent job of explaining without killing deals, if that makes sense. Even if there are things that are maybe problems that are perceived to be a massive problem, Joe's got a really good way of explaining it to where it makes sense. It puts the client or the buyer at ease a little bit more. And maybe it still needs to be addressed, but they're not totally freaked out after the inspection.
Bedside manner is #1 for us. When we hire inspectors, we can train anybody to inspect, but you can't train anybody. You can't train bedside manner. That is so important. Nikki had something she wanted to add. She's right here, and she's going to get on the camera for a quick second.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to introduce myself. For those I haven't met, my name is Nikki. I'm the marketing representative with our team. I pop by the office with goodies every once in a while, candy, chapsticks, all the fun stuff. So if you see me, say hi. But I also just wanted to say I did put in the comments my contact information. If you want any marketing related information about market ready inspections or just any more information about our team, just shoot me an email or shoot me a text with your email and I can send that on over to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
I know a lot of your agents have known Nikki for many years.
Yeah.
Back in her Chesterfield days. So
yes, exactly.
No stranger to a lot of the people.
Right. Well, cool, Joe. We appreciate it very much. We appreciate you taking the time this morning. This is very informative. I think this is a really good option for many of our sellers. I hope we'll take advantage of it. And again, appreciate you being here, and we'll see you April 2nd, which is just around the corner.
Just around the corner, man. I look forward to seeing you guys, and I really appreciate that opportunity. Call me or text me if you guys want to throw me into your phone. That's totally fine. I got you covered.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.